Hey guys, it's Lily, and today I'm coming at you with another back to school video. This one is how to take good notes. So personally for me, this is just the note-taking system that works best, but you can also change things to your own personal needs. And in this video, I'm also going to be sharing with you how to make note-taking a little more enjoyable and something not so dreaded. So I always like to start out by getting all the supplies I'm going to need, like whether that be a ruler, a colored pen, and then like a writing pen is usually what I use. And then I usually take my color to make a nice, fun title that just kind of makes them more fun to look at, I guess. And I don't know, I find just for me that by making them pretty, I'm more like I want to study them more and I want to write them more. So usually to begin, I start out by taking like my writing pen. I'm using the Sharpie fine liner pen and just write a little blurb, like just a couple lines about what you're going to be like writing about, what your topic is, just a quick summary of like what the title is, and then I find that just kind of introduces it and gets me kind of ready to start learning about this topic. Then I'm going to be taking my color again. I'm using my Tombow dual brush pen for this. This is what I usually use for colors. And making a subheading. Subheadings are important because they keep your notes kind of divided. And if you're taking notes from a textbook, usually like they divide it up into subheaders for you. But I highly recommend, if you're not following from a textbook or something that doesn't have those, to make your own subheadings. And this way, when you're going back and rereading them and studying them, it will make it like a million times easier to study, because if you're just looking at like a page like full of just like words and like nothing dividing it, it's going to seem really overwhelming. And when you're reading them, you're probably going to get a little more distracted. The subheadings and kind of breakups in your notes kind of give it like it just kind of gives your mind a break when you finish that paragraph, and it's a little motivating, like, oh, I can just like finish this one topic. And that way you don't have two topics kind of mashed together. You kind of know like which topic is which, and you don't get distracted. I also recommend using little drop down bars or arrows or whatever works for you in like your bright colors so that you can easily spot them, to put examples. This will make them stand out and you will be able to see them much better. And if you need to emphasize your point, I recommend using like the bullet point system, and you can just like keep adding on bullet points for each kind of like sentence that goes after it. Now, since we all have vocabulary words that we need to memorize when you're writing them in your notes, I recommend like taking your color that you're using for this topic of notes and highlighting the word. That way it will stand out to you. If highlighting doesn't work for you, you can underline, and then somewhere else on the page, like write the definition for that word, so that you can easily see it and it's right there and you're never confused on what something means when you're studying or reading notes. And it'll just make memorizing vocabulary words way easier because it's always there when you read your notes. So that is how I learned my vocabulary words personally. And yeah, so now you have to break things up. So by adding like a second subheading, like that breaks up your notes a little bit, like I was talking about earlier. So I recommend keep dividing them. And the textbooks usually do a pretty good job of like when a new topic starts, dividing it for you. So if that works for you, just follow how they do it. Or if you want to make your own breakups, then go ahead and do that too. Now, if you're doing a subject like math or physics or something that requires like a lot of like example questions that you want to put in your notes, like examples from the textbook or examples from things that you've done in class, then I recommend doing that in a little bit of a lighter color, well, at least that's what I do, than how you've been writing your notes in. So I normally write my notes in black, And then I put my examples or like practice problems in this gray pen. And I just find that this works really well for me because that way they don't kind of get like smushed together, I guess you could say. And that way you can kind of see, like, decipher the two from it. So the explanation and then the practice problem, if that makes any sense. And also, a way that you can make your note-taking a lot more fun is by using things like diagrams, pictures for those artsy people that like to draw. This is the perfect way to make note-taking fun for you because not only is it fun to draw these things, but also it will make studying them so much more fun and you'll be able to visualize. If you're not exactly the creative type person, you can always print off pictures. That's what I find myself doing, printing off pictures and gluing them in your notes. I also like to add arrows, charts, anything, like just pops of color, because when you're studying, then it's not just words on a page like I was talking about before. It's actually something that you enjoy looking at and kind of catches your attention. Now, just a couple like other random tips for you guys, I guess, just to make note-taking a little more fun and pretty and whatever works for you, I guess. So my first tip is to use only one color. Honestly, like, you want your notes to be colorful and everything, like, but as you noticed in the notes that I was showing you before, I only used the one blue color. So pick like a couple or whatever, like, so if you want to have one for vocabulary words, one for your title, or whatever works for you, make a system, but don't use too many colors because otherwise it looks like a highlighter threw up on your page. And then you're like, the colors don't even mean anything because everything is colored. My second tip for you is to make it fun by watching Netflix. If watching Netflix or YouTube works for you, go ahead. But if you find yourself getting too distracted and you can't focus on the notes when those things are on, then I suggest just listening to some music or something. Because sometimes I find when I'm writing notes, I don't fully learn if I'm watching Netflix. But for some people, it does work. So if you find that that helps you, then go ahead. Or you can make it a reward. Like after I finish my notes, then I can watch some Netflix. So just find the system that works best for you. And then my kind of last tip, just to make it manageable, is to take frequent breaks when you take notes. I know I've talked about this in other videos, but taking frequent breaks is so important, and you need to do it because you will retain the information better and it will keep you much more motivated. So I hope you all enjoyed this video. Make sure to subscribe to my channel for more weekly videos on every Tuesdays and Fridays. Bye!